I'll never forget the feeling the first time that I went back to the kiln and got my things back that I'd made, and just looking at it and holding it in my hands and be like, whoa, this is like a real object and I've made it, and it's like a hard thing and I can drink water out of it. And just that, the idea that then I was like, well, if I can make that, I could potentially make anything that I can think of that I want. My name's Tantri Mustika. I'm from Melbourne and I make ceramics. So I make different home objects like vases and planters, different little trinkets and homewares, and I make a little bit of jewellery as well. I think the best way to describe my ceramic style is probably colourful, fun and light-hearted. Bit of a polished, refined finish. Yeah, it's not too serious. I haven't always been a ceramicist. I was a hairdresser for a bit over 10 years, and that started off as something that was a real creative passion. I found after that long doing the same job, it didn't have as much of like a creative flair for me anymore. So I'd spend one day a week learning ceramics and cut down a day a week at work. It became another day off work and another day invested in making ceramics until I had a body of work that I felt like people might like to buy. And then I just one day decided I need to make a website and I'll just put it out there and see if people like it. And yeah, I launched my website and that just instantly got a really strong positive feedback. And then eventually it got really busy and I just decided I had to take the risk and just rip the band-aid off. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to invest all my time into ceramics and see what happens. So the process that I go through to make my vases, the first thing that happens is I think about colour palette, and then I'll spend pretty much a whole day or the first half of a day actually mapping out the different colours that I want, and then I'll hand stain all of the clays. The stained clay then gets impressed into the slab. Basically, at the end of that stage, what I have are what I like to call clay fabric. So it's almost as if you have a sheet of patterned fabric, and then I will think about what shapes I want to make with that particular slab. If I'm working in like towards an order, to fulfill an order, then I'll be like, okay, I need to make 10 of this thing, I need to make 20 of this thing, and I'll just go through and do that. If I am in a more creative mood and I've made a slab that I really, really love, then I might think about, okay, how does this patterning, how will that reflect well into a particular shape? So sometimes the slab can dictate what I actually make out of it, if that makes sense. So once I cut out all of the different shapes that I want to make, what will happen is I will sit down and then I'll spend one day and I'll dedicate that to actually building the vases, and I kind of do it a little bit in a mini production line. And then I have to actually finish them, so I have to tidy them up. They need to be sanded, go through their first firing, then I take them out of the kiln and then they get washed and sanded again. And then they get dipped in glaze, so the glass shiny coating, and they go back into the kiln again and get fired at a really high temperature. And then I check them all really, really rigorously for any cracks or any faults or anything that's gone wrong, and I make sure that they're all right. And then they go to their designated homes or stockists or onto my online store. So yeah, it's kind of a long process. Clay can be quite a brutal medium to work with, but I think that I don't know, in some ways it kind of teaches you some life lessons a little bit, to kind of just let go and not be too attached to the things that you make. You spend hours and hours working on certain things, and then you know, it could all go out the window at the very last stage, or you think something's going to work and then you put it in the firing and then you get it out and you open the kiln and it's like, oh, it's got a massive crack in it. That can be difficult, but then again, that also feeds into exploration, like what can I do to make it better, and how can I deal with this thing that's happened, how can I brainstorm to make sure that it doesn't happen next time. So I guess you can kind of turn your challenges into positive things as well. I think the biggest challenge is, I guess it's daunting. Supporting yourself completely financially is really hard. Sometimes you might be a bit stressed about money, and then that makes it hard to actually be creative and really free in making the things that you're making. I think another challenge of having your own business is knowing when to stop working. You know, you're not in a job where it's got an opening time and a close time, and sometimes you can kind of get a little bit carried away, and I've definitely had a couple of times where I've caught myself and been like, whoa, you need to slow down, you're burning yourself out. Something that I love about ceramics is there's definitely a sense of permanence. You know, you go into any gallery or museum in the world and there's like old ceramics that have been there for thousands and thousands of years. So they're things that can like outlast a lifetime. And you start off with a lump of clay and you can't do anything with it. It's like slop. It's sort of like a gift from the earth. Like it's a natural resource that we've over centuries worked out how to actually use it to make it something really useful. And it's in our everyday life. Like there's so many things that we use that are made out of clay, and I think that people don't realize how complex it actually is, and being part of that and sort of going on a journey to discover different things that you can do with it, and knowing that little secret of how complicated it is and how much work goes into it, that's really nice and special as well.